Howdy lovelies, how are you all? Welcome back to our crafting, where we learn, grow and craft together. Today we are going to look at making journal cards. Remember, some time ago we had the masterboard, we cut it up, we used parts to make belly band, or belly bands rather, and then there were parts left, the 4 journaling cards. We're going to use those today, as we still have that in the basket. We're also going to look at a hidden journaling spot. We'll do something similar, not the same type of vintage vibe with this. This is a paperback from Stamperia, I think it is, and I can't remember the name. I can go search for it, but I can't tell on top of my head right now. Then the next thing we are going to do is we are going to do some clusters. Now, clusters can be done in various different ways. I have a few here that I've done previously on brown paper bags. I just collaged on top little bits and bobs, and it still actually needs a focal point. Now, at this point, it can be turned into anything. It can be still inked a little bit, paint splatters, all of those things can still be done with these clusters. There are numerous videos available on YouTube, and each artist, paper artist, will show you a different way to make clusters. Now, a collage, we know, are gluing down some elements onto a surface, whether that's a card, a tag, a belly band, a paper, anything. A collage, it's glued on. A cluster are strips of paper. You can add ribbon, lace, all kinds of things, pieces of textile, cheesecloth, muslin cloth, whatever you feel, you can add to that. It can just be paper strips, and because of the essence of that, it really and truly is a scrap buster. You can see with this, I've added, hopefully it will show up, the sides of a book page where I had cut that off, and you can see where the spiral binding was. Some tags, as I said, it was on brown paper bag, and with a few bits and bobs there. I've added it also, as it gives wonderful texture. You know me by now, I love texture, and of course the feel of paper. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get started. I think we need to start with the journaling cards. This is how these cards were attached to the masterboard. We cut a strip this side and a strip from this side to make our belly bands at that time. And I did promise you we will still use them. You can see here that the label that I had attached there and this little stamp bit and bob of mine, we sliced it in half. So these two goes together and those two. I want to mix them up so that they're not in a certain order. Lovelies, I am still chuckling. You won't believe it. I wanted to make this video today without any editing, and I tried my best to keep on talking while I was busy creating. Now, it is quite difficult because my brain can go running around in circles on other topics and things, and I cannot concentrate. So I actually had, would you believe it, stopped recording when I was supposed to record, and vice versa. So there's quite a few blank spots in my video, and not to waste the content, I now have to recreate the journaling cards. Now, this is not the journaling cards that we had cut from that very first belly bands that we created. I went ahead and what I thought was created online while recording, I had actually stopped the video, decorated these 4 journal cards, showing you the process, how I go through them, adding the gesso, which is here to my left, and when starting to edit and go through, see what needs to maybe be cut and whatever, I realized that I had actually not recorded this part. Also not the final part where I select the little tags for our journaling spot. Now, I will come back to this in a little bit because I want to try and edit this video so that it does make sense. So we will get back to this at a little bitty later. So what I intended to do was to record my decorating process, which of course did not happen. Yeah, this recording of videos is still very new to me, but I'm learning, and that is a good thing. I'm very proud of myself, if I may say so. So these journaling cards that I have here is already rounded. I just used a corner rounder, and I like to use the medium size, which is, if I can even see here, 7 millimeters, I think, and that one is 10, and this one is 4. So that's the tiny one, 7 and 10 millimeters of a rounding. So I already have this in my stash. As I always start having things ready, you know, I have lots of things ready, like tags and the specimen cards, the jumbo tags that are coffee dyed already, some ink smushed, others with background stamps on them. Always have them ready for whenever I have a few minutes to create. The same with these. Now with this bookmark, could also be a tuck spot, and it could also be a belly band. I went ahead at the time and I zigzagged around it with my sewing machine in black thread so that it just gives a little bit more contrast and more interest to this belly band tuck spot. You can see it's not yet decorated, and I haven't yet decided what I want to do with this. Now you can see the colors are totally different from what we had been using this far. There's a whole lot more orange, yellow in it, little bits more orange. You can see it sticking out. But because I am going to add gesso with this, I will just have to add a little bit more. Now you will notice that there are 6 journal cards here. I will continue with those 6, as well as the belly band. With the ones that I created earlier, you will see, and I will bring this closer. I hope this is actually so that you can see. I can pick up the texture there, so I think it is quite clear. I added very little gesso just to bind everything together, harmonize it, to make the background not so pertinent, so very clear. I wanted it to recede in the background a little bit so that the little bits of stamping and our other embellishments that we put on top, additions, whether stamped on a page or on a circle. With this one I added those ephemera pieces from Tom Holtz, 2 of them. This one on a circle, pre-punched, inked already, just to stand out a little bit. So you will see this is a much lighter version than this. Now maybe it's a good thing, maybe it was a good mishap to show you how you can change something that is this bright to tone it down. So all I do is, and I don't use, you can use a spatula, you can use a paintbrush, but I'm just going to use my finger and clean this a little bit, which is a good opportunity as well. Just taking a little bit of that, put this to one side. That there, already I have some on my nail, not that it bothers me. So the idea is just to add a little bit of this all over to soften the edges. Now where the yellow is of the butter yellow cardstock is showing through because I did not glue everything. Well, this will help, and I normally just put it on those edges where it is glued together. Now you will see that eventually this is quite toned down quite a bit. The gesso dries really fast. You can see the difference between these 2 cards already, and that's why I'm never worried when I do the masterboards of what I'm doing, because all the colors that I'm adding, I try not to add, say, lime greens and purples, bright colors, when I'm working with a vintagey type masterboard. If I so wish, like washi tapes, and it is bright and beautiful, then it's fine. But when I want to do a vintage theme or a vintage vibe, I do tend to stick to browns, yellows, beiges, some orange, just to have the same type of tones. So you can see that this one is a whole lot more muted than this one. So I will continue. This is already dry, still a little bit sticky there, but already dry. And I have added this right in front of you. So I'm going to go with the next one. You do not take a lot. If it smears over you wherever you touch, just go with it. There's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just adding it so that we can tone down parts of this journal card. If too much, you can wipe it down with a baby wipe. And of course, after this is dry, you can stamp, stencil on it, ink it. It just helps with that mixed media effect. I also have on my blog an instruction sheet of how I go about making mixed media tags, which is exactly what we do here. It's just a different way. There's a bit of green, and that part just came off, but we just add a bit more gesso there. That should dry within seconds. I'm just trying to get rid of this piece of, now this lid is almost dry. I'm going to just wipe some on the card and just then work really quickly to get this in areas where I would want it to be. Almost impossible to get the last bits off there, so I will just go to the jar now. I just want to smear this on the other end. There's still a bit there, and a bit there. There we go, and some there. Maybe a bit there. You can see this is all toned down now. We still have a few, so I'll just clean this little lid that seals out the air when you close the container. Right, I think this is now the last bit of this on the lid. I really honestly don't mind the gesso on my hands. It washes off easily with soap and water. Thankfully, I never had it on my clothes, but on my fingers numerous times. I just need a bit there to tone that rather red-orange down a bit. And there we have it. You can add a little bit more in some places, others less. It's really to your liking. The whole idea is just to mirror down the background, which is very clear in these two, without and with gesso. And those four are already dry. I can't believe that I got so confused with the buttons and had it switched off when it was supposed to be recording and vice versa. My goodness, but lesson learned, right? Make sure next time. And check before continuing. That's what I always say, fail and fail better. Learn from your mistakes. If you learn something, then it cannot be a mistake. Then it is experience. And maybe a little bit there. Not so much. This really truly dries easily. I think I've added some gesso now to the back with my finger. Maybe not. Doesn't look like it though. Oh yeah, there is. In the light I can see it. Just want a little bit there still, so that this is a little bit more toned down. And a bit there. There we go. Now just this belly band or bookmark, as I still don't know what I want to do with it, so I can't be sure. Can be a tuck spot, Nice belly band. I don't want to get gesso on the sewing though, so I'll just add that to the middle. And you can see there's really no rhyme or reason where I put it, how I add it. I just don't think you will have such a light coverage with a brush. So play with the gesso and see what works for you. And like I said, if you add too much, you can still wipe it down before it is dry. The minute that it's dry, you can't do much about it. I think this will be good. We can stop there. So this is quite toned down. Now let me just close this up and not get this confused yet again, which is where I started recording earlier today. And that's how I missed the whole process of decorating the journal cards. This one has still got a bit to dry. I can see the wetness there. I'm going to wipe this a bit so that it can just dry quicker. This one is fine, it's already dry. There's nothing. This one, however, has got a piece of paper that is lifting up. Just working in the glue stick there so I can glue that down. Let me just check the others, dry. This has also got a little bit of a, there we go. And then this one is dry. Awesome. This one should be, as it really doesn't take so long to dry. Let's just check the bookmark. I'm not going to decorate this one on screen. And I just bumped my glue stick over. Right. I'm just going to clean my fingers because they're a bit white and this might just come off on the ink pads and so forth. Right. I'm not going to decorate all 6 of these. I just want you not to miss out on the process that I follow. It is basically just a collage process. You can add whatever you want. I do not have many mushrooms left from the field notes, ephemera packs of Tim Holtz. I literally just have these tiny few left, which is from the snippets. I think this one is from the large field notes. So I will have to use some stamping, which is what I did with these. I added 2 because of the reason that I don't have large mushrooms left. And yes, you can easily print some free printables that you get online and just fuzzy cut that and cut it out, you know, we call it fuzzy cutting, and glue it down. So these 2 are stamped images with some background stamps. I added some vintage paper there, faux vintage paper that is, not true vintage paper, and those 2 are then done. These 2, I, however, did add some stamping, some extra bits and bobs, added a circle, punch circle from vintage book paper, and I added these 2 mushroom pieces from the field notes pack. Now, these ones are done. I will show you the one that I will decorate now, and these ones again at the end of this video. So let's do maybe 2, one with just stamping, and then these ones I will keep for my future projects. All right. After the gesso is dried, you can touch them, you can ink them, you can stamp on it. There's really no issue about this. So I need a piece of paper. Let me just grab a piece here so that we can stamp on this. I like this stamp quite a bit, so I'm going to add it to a stamp block and bringing the stamp pad to the stamp. I'm inking the stamp up, just making sure there's ink all over. I'm specifically using distress ink because I want that distressed look. Now before we do this, I'll stamp that and it can dry, and then I want to just do some background stamping before we add the fuzzy cut image. Making sure the stamp makes contact everywhere. Leave it a little bit so that the ink can settle. There we go. A lovely print. And then when we fuzzy cut, we actually move our paper, which makes it so much easier to fuzzy cut whichever image. When fuzzy cutting, you can really cut out on the edge of your image, or you can leave a tiny border right around. It's your choice. I'll just come back to this one, just go around and then come back with that little intricate bit between the mushrooms. But it's easy to fuzzy cut. Now because this is quite busy, I think I will be inking this edge as well, just so that it stands out a tiny little bit more. With the previous journal cards, the background was quite neutral, really very light. You can see this one is a bit brighter than this, so I'm thinking about inking the edge just to have this stand out a little bit more. And of course this is a bit difficult as this paper is quite flimsy. And no, it's not a dark definite line of inked edge, it's just something extra. There we go, put that one aside, so it doesn't matter. Let's do this one. I'm thinking more or less there. Okay, so let's add also a strip of paper from here. Where's the glue stick? And it's look, let's see. Not to there. Oh, it's a very, very small part that doesn't need any glue. Just making sure the corners are well glued. I will also ink this. Just there we go. And you can of course burnish it. Sometimes I just simply use my fingers to burnish things with, because it just needs that tiny bit of pressure to glue down properly. Alright, now for some background stamping. And I will be stamping on both of these so that they are both done. Again, from the Tiny Toadstool stamp set, let's start with this one. It's got some finer lines or finer dots and little ink blotches. You can see there. And I want to add that other stamp too. That one, let's get this one that looks like spilled coffee. Here I didn't look where I want to put anything yet, and it's quite fine. Let that dry for a moment while I continue with this. Maybe add one there, turn it over, add a little bit more there, and maybe one this side. Just filling in wherever I think there is something needed. So I will stamp with the ink blocks. It's easy to see where to place it on your project, whatever that might be, whether it's a card, which is a journal card, a normal card, plaster, belly band, wherever you need to stamp. So it's visible, it's got some grit lines on it, and you can see your placement so much easier. I wonder, there is that one, field label. Let's see, we're going to add glue to this little stamped image. For the other one, we might use some faux postage stamp stickers, as these mushrooms are very, very small. Using my fingernail this time to burnish it with, as there are some ink splotches that's still wet. Now this one is, there we go. So we can see it, it's not as bright as it was when we had started with them. I should have kept one without the gesso just to compare in the end. So let's see what stickers I have here that we can maybe use. I kind of like that one. Or the orange one. Orange one will disappear. Let's see. Can't make up my mind though. It does pick up the orange in the card, but I want that to stand out a tiny bit more. So to get these stickers off always is kind of a challenge. Sometimes I can pry it off with my nail. I wonder if it will fit in here. Oh, that is just too small. So let's do that. Sorry, I was out of frame there. I just got the backing of the sticker and I just needed something a tiny little bit bigger to actually do this. Let's try rusty hinge because it's quite orange. It's a brown rust color, but quite orange. I love it to use it for rust. Oh, this side is a bit wider than the others. Let me just trim it a bit so it's more in proportion. There we go. I must say I kind of like the voiceovers better than me talking to you while I'm busy crafting, because my mind goes places and there's always the possibility that I will talk to myself, not realizing I'm on camera recording, and I might just talk to you about things, not that you shouldn't know, but that you wouldn't know what it's about, and that's just how my brain functions. Now let's see, add it there, and this one maybe there, maybe just that one, and then maybe some other stamping. Right, it's different from the ones that I made earlier. As I said, I don't have the bigger mushroom ephemera pieces left. This is all the mushrooms I have in those field notes packs left. So just need to wipe this glue that's standing. Let me just fold it in with my nail. There we go. And this picks up all the orange in this card beautifully. You can see the bits, it picks it up instantaneously. All right, let's put that one side. Now a little bit of stamping still just to add. And I like this rusty hinge. last time I took the clear and not the red rubber stamp. I think that is beautiful. And this one with the fuller stamps, quite nice. I really love this stamp set quite a bit. So let me not get this confused. Vintage photo. I had done that before, where I closed my stamp pads with the wrong lids. So vintage photo. Will there be enough? Nope. It's a bit dry. Not so saturated. So just ink the edges so that it draws the eye in and really get everything well rounded off. To me, it makes a world of difference when it is inked, the edges are inked, that is. Just doing the background as well. You can add some stamping if you need, or if you like that. You can also cover the back with a different color paper, beige, brown, lined if you want. It really is up to you. I had said it before and I will say it again. There is no right or wrong way to do journaling. It's a very personal thing. You do it like you want. Each person is unique and they have their own ways of doing things. You can put as much or as little ink as you would want. So let's take a look at our previous ones and then these. Now the process is more or less the same. It's just what I used on it that differs, but I want to just show you these ones. They will still be in frame, and then ones that we had done earlier, or which I had done, which I thought you were a part of, which didn't work out. I still laugh at myself for being so silly, but there we go, we learn. So there's the two that I made, and hopefully this time around it actually did record. Now I'm going to go on and show you the tags that I made for the little journal. Well, it wasn't made for the hidden journaling spot, but how I went about to choose the tags. A sheet of paper. Here I have used part of this already, but if I look at this, I can easily get 4 out of there and maybe like 8 clusters out of this area still. Now, it doesn't have to be precise. It can be really simple. If you have pieces like this, maybe that one is a good one to use. There's a piece of cardstock or corrugated board. There's a piece that I had stamped on previously. You can tear that down. It really is just what you decide it to be. If you want to cut it down, you are welcome. If you want to use it as it is, that will be perfect. Maybe add something on the side. I will just maybe trim that a bit in there. You can see I don't throw anything away. With that little bits, open bits, it will stick everywhere. But you can maybe add that to your corrugated board. The glue will dry. If it bothers you too much, you can just, again, lightly wipe it with a baby wipe just to get rid of all that extra glue that's on there. I didn't pay attention and I put it on the wrong side of the little paper scrap. So you can literally put anything down and it will be fine. I'll just show you 1 or 2 of those just so that you can get the idea. It can be rolled up over time, as you have time, you can do these little bits of, which is actually also collage strategy, but to use your scraps to add simply. See, there's a little strip that I had. It will disappear on that, but on here it will be beautiful. So maybe a piece of book page. Let's see if we can find something. I will tear a bit of pink there, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It literally can be whatever you find that is usable. I had previously stamped a 1 on there. I think that will be awesome to add that little part here. Gluing down some pink. The pink might be a bit too long, but I will just glue it sort of in the middle so that there are parts hanging over. There we have that. And you can really curl that. Use a toothpick or a kebab stick and add some more texture to this. You can ink those ends so that they really, sorry, somebody's child here in the building is crying, and they love playing in front of my apartment. So I often have knocks on the door, little handies just thinking they are home, and then it turns out that they are not. You will remember this little sticker the other day, stamp I think it was, that I added to one of the other labels. You can add that here. It can hang over a bit. I really want to add that number as well, but I need something to let it stand out a bit. It can be, no, I don't want, this should be fine, just something of that sort. You can cut it a bit smaller, so we don't want it that big. Tiny bit. I'm going to ink that end. Idea is that you use whatever you have and make it useful so that you can add that to, I'm doing this at an angle, and then going to add that just here. You can sew it, then you're going to add very little glue so that it doesn't bother. Now, since this is the mushroom theme, I'm going to grab one of those tiny ones that we had earlier and just going to add this more or less there. You can see where it fits for you. I'm not going to spend much more time on making clusters. I will do some off camera just for the sake of the length of this video. And there we have one. There we have one little cluster. Oh, sorry for that. I'll bring it closer so that you can see. There we have it. Isn't it gorgeous? So easy, using whatever you have. You can go ahead and ink the edges if you so wish of all of this. You can add some color, you can add some paint splatters on top of this, but you can go wild. Enjoy yourself making clusters. Off camera, I had made 2 more clusters. There's the one that we made together, and then I just made 2 different ones just to show you the different ways. As I said previously, there are many different ways. This I had torn the paper so you can see the rough edges. I'll bring it closer so you can see that. And I like the grunge. You know I like the grunge. If you don't like the grunge, it's not your thing, don't worry about it. I specifically had that stand up a little bit. You can work with it with a finger, or you can roll it with a toothpick that is thin, or even a needle if you got that, quilling tool, something of that sort. This I had used the same paper that I had made previously, but this I had cut with a pair of scissors. So it's the same type of thing. So there's 3 different ones, yet all of them is still part of our theme. We're going to continue now to make that hidden journal or journaling card, journal spot that will be a little bit more interactive once we assemble our journal. So I'll put this to one side and we will have a look at everything at the end. So for the hidden journaling spot, I'm going to use my cutting board. I hope this will be, there we go. You will be able to see the top, unlike the other time where you could only see the middle part. So I've got a piece of cardstock. It's only one-sided, as this is a digital printable. It could be one of my own, it could be somebody's, I am not sure. I had gone one day and I printed quite a few things, so it might be end papers from somebody. I am really not sure. I will have to go see if I can find this somewhere, and then I can give clarity on that. But anyhow, it is just printed on one side. Again, 160 GSM, so it's not too thick. You can use scrapbook paper for this. You can use normal cardstock, anything that you want to repurpose. I'll show you what I have here with me. I have some of the packaging materials from different various products, and I just keep this. So if we take this one and you fold it in half, it will be very wide, but you can adjust your paper accordingly, and you can still use this and just decorate the outer sides of this, because we're not going to see the inside. Some of Tim's stuff where stencils are coming in, some others, this is almost, it's not glossy, but it is almost too glossy to use, but it will be perfect to cut in half to make journal cards or pockets or anything of that sort. So I do not throw these away. I normally keep them. I just want to put that one there. I've got various ones from different things. These are sometimes punch out circles from, and I add it to my tags. I've got a whole pile of circles that I use. Sometimes it will be this on the back, or I will be adding something to the side that has got all the information of what product it was. I keep this. I love the grungy look of the Tim Holtz's packaging material. This was, I don't know, a stencil, which is almost like a mandala from folk art. So this cardstock is perfect. Yes, there's a piece of paper, but you can take that off or glue something over it. You can see I had already cut something from there. There's another one of these. I can put that together. I had used a part of this. You can use anything. Really, you can use anything. I will be using this piece of cardstock today. Now, what we're going to do is simple. It will first seem crazy, but it is the way it should be. I want to just, you can cut this. You don't need a paper trimmer. You can do this part by hand as well. Now, I want to show you that you can truly rip paper in half, and you don't need a pair of scissors for it. This one, however, I want to just going to fold this in half, because I'm going to glue it down like a skew, very skew, sorry. Use that South African word of lekker there, which means skew. Very skew that is. So we're going to just trim this one, as I've torn it quite shamefully, quite skew, and just want to bring it in so I can get a proper size so that it's all the same all over. Seeing that I had, oh, it's sliding. There we go. Just hold on to that. That was now, see, this side, it is much shorter. So I'll just put that up on the side, make sure it's flush so that I can fix the skewness. Now, if it bothers you, you can cut it. I will leave it at this point because I will be gluing this together and it will go into the top part of this hidden journaling spot. Now for this, I want to use half of this. Let's see. Let's just get the middle of this paper. We don't even need that much, but just, I don't want to open the arm of this. And I'm going to just slice it there. Make sure that this is flush. Top, there we go, and we have it. Now to decide which one I want, I think I will take this part, and don't put this too far away as we will be coming back to it. We need it in a few minutes. Now what you're going to do is literally fold this over, and with a bone folder you can just fold it in half, and this is going to seem really crazy, but take a bit of glue and you're going to, yes, I'm not doing this wrong, we're going to glue the 3 ends close. So just a tiny little bit of glue. I should have put this on its side so it can run. The bottle is still full, but it takes some time to just get to the nozzle. Hot glitter glue with that apparent fine tip metal or metal tip would also be perfect. You can use glue stick for this. You don't have to use liquid glue. I just like Eileen's because it's really strong and it dries really quickly. Now obviously I had put too much glue on here, being hasty. I'm going to simply fold it over, and I'm going to use my access card and burnish this, and I'm going to move the glue away from the card, and the same at the bottom. And then we're going to just wipe this up before it is too dry and sticky. So just wipe it, make sure that glue is done. So this is now glued together. Well, still settling on all 3 sides, just making sure there's no glue on the edge. And now we are going to cut that open. Yes, that's where the magic is going to happen. We're going to slice this open, not too far, probably like so. You can do this in any size you want. We will probably still make a bigger one. Now, don't throw any one of these 2 parts away. So this is where the fun part is starting. I just want to put my cutting board there. What we're going to do is we're going to glue this part. I didn't use cardstock. You can use cardstock. I probably should have glued this one down already. Doesn't help to leave it open because you will see it will be useless if we actually keep it open. So I just want to glue this down so that it's a little bit more sturdy. Burnish it with the access card. Any card, you can use the back of a pair of scissors. Using my hand there for the glue. Just wipe it with a baby wipe, which I always have handy for those moments where you spill or have ink all over. Now, remember that part was all skew, but it doesn't matter. What we're going to do now is I'm going to use my bone folder and just pry this open a little bit. There's no glue in the middle, so just to get that part open. The same with this one. It should be fine, but on this side and there. Now you can add loose things in there. You can add maybe a letter, some tickets, any memorabilia that you want. You can add that. So we're going to add glue, not too much. You don't want it too far in. Let's see the size of this. You see there, it can go like so, halfway. And I want to put glue on the other side as well. Liquid glue would probably have been better because it's easier to control. So now we just put this in, slide it in there, sort of in the middle. It's not even a worry if it isn't in the middle. This is such an easy but cute way to have a journaling spot. If it's skew like mine, it doesn't matter. And then you just add this there, and you can see my 2 parts are not the same, so just turn it over so the pattern continues, and there you have it. Now we're going to round the corners, and we're going to ink it a little bit, and there you have a hidden journaling spot and we're going to add a pocket here. So when you put something in, nobody would even know that there's a hidden journaling spot. So I want to get the corner rounder, and you can do this part first. I want to use the bigger edge, corner rounder, punch, punch, punch. It's not too thick, it's only 160 grams. And there we have that. There we have that. Right, inking tool. Going to ink this, and then we're going to decorate it. And we decide which side is to the front, which is to the back. That's entirely up to you. It's your choice. If you use pattern paper, that might dictate what side you want to use in front. You can leave it as it is. We will, however, put a little brad in there that we will then fasten to our journal at a later stage when we have our signatures done and sewn in. Yes, we're going to sew in our journals, and our signatures, sorry. And I will show you, it's really not that difficult. So just do both sides, inking, for in case you don't want to put it into your journal. With a brad, if you want it to be a loose ephemera piece, journal spot, hidden journal spot, then you don't have to use the brad to fasten it in your journal. You do not want to ink those areas as you want a hidden journaling spot. So just a little bit of a color enhancement there on the sides. Now let me see which one. I kind of like this, but it will be covered anyway. So let's do this. We can use the rest of this paper. We can use something else. This might work. So the paper trimmer, you can use a pair of scissors. It really doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be too wide. I put this now underneath the cutting board. You can use a tiny little bit more so that there is at least a space for you to fold it over. I don't want it too far. Let's see, maybe 3.5, maybe 3. Let's do that. I want this side, so let's turn it over. 3. There we go. Of course, we keep this for later on. I just want to grab a punch, 1 inch, 1.5, 1 3/4. Sorry for that noise in your ears. I'm just going to quickly get the middle point of this, just pinch it there, and with that I'm going to see where's the middle. Do I want it that deep? No, just like so, just so that we see it is a pocket. Don't throw it away into the basket. We can use that at a later stage. Now for this one, I'm going to just slightly score it. If you see here, I just want to show you again, it is slightly bigger than our pocket. Now the bottom, we're going to trim that so it won't be this far down, so it won't bother our rounded corners at the bottom. So we need about, I still work in centimeters, 1/2 centimeter on either side. For you it will probably be about 2/8 of an inch. And I'm not using that one here, I have the one that's on my desk. So just 1/2 one there, score, and I'll just move this one slightly up and score this one. It should be okay. So there we go. I just want to see if that is far enough. That's why I'm quickly folding these ends over. I just want to see if it fits our hidden journaling spot. There we go, perfect fit. Now just the bottom, I'll just open that up, and I don't mind lining it. I need to line it up, but I mean, I don't score it precisely at a certain measurement. I just eyeball it. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to take this away, put it to one side so that it doesn't bother us. Scissors, we need the scissors. We're going to trim this. Now, what I'll do is just fold this over so that you can see it. If I ink this, it will be better for you. You can see the lines where I'm trimming it, because otherwise white is not too clear. I just want to ink those ends where I'm going to snip it so that it's easier for you to see. So they're on the cross lines. What I'm doing is, to take away some of the bulk, I'm going to cut this at an angle, and this side cut across, the same there, so that it is less bulky on those corners. Now fold this in, and we're going to glue it on those ends. Use the bone folder, get that nice and flat. It just helps. And this side too. Now you could have had these sides a little bit wider, but then they would have been an open space. Going to ink these ends before I glue it down. Just need some ink there. My ink needs a bit more on the ink blending tool, as I have been using it so much. It's not as saturated as I would like it to be. And the last end there, just that little bit. And if you want to, you can intensify this, maybe not everywhere, just here and there. I also like to just not so stark brown, or what I always say, don't do that. Don't put it directly onto your project. You will have this dot, and that's exactly what I've done now. Not to worry, we will camouflage it somehow. A little bit there, maybe a little bit there, maybe add some there, but brown, but there. Some of it will anyway be covered. Maybe a little bit on this side. I love grunge. You people know that by now. Absolutely love grunge. So, close the ink pad, and now for the glue. Let's put that away. Just a little bit of glue. We're going to put that there, and then maybe a quick, I will probably have something we can just pop in there. I'm going to put it there so that we still have that rounding. So, a little bit of glue, not much, and this will give you that little bit of leeway to add bigger things in there. A little bit of a leeway, movement there. There we go. Again, just line it up like so. Move it in, and there we have it. Our trusty hotel access card. You can use whatever you have to do that. I just want to make sure there's no glue running out. So I just wipe the ends and the table, or the cutting board anyway. Cutting mat, that is. So there we have that. This will dry. Now sometimes when we want to still do things and the glue is not yet dry, I just clamp it down. I've got a whole thing full of bulldog clips. What these are called, we call it bulldog clips. They might be called something else. Just there, it reaches, barely reaches there. Tiny one. I'll put that one there. And a few more. And by now the glue should be dry. But sometimes it takes a bit longer, and it can be easily saving you time if you clip it like this, and it can dry on its own. So, a little tag. Let's see if we have a tag available already. This was also supposed to be decorated on camera. As it turned out, this was sadly done off camera, and I'm sorry for that. I can redo it, but I don't have the same paper, so it will not make sense if I make a new one with new paper. So I left it as that. I'll just show you. I had gone ahead and stamped this hidden journal spot. The pocket you still made with me, I just went ahead and I stamped just on the front part of this. Now I want to add something in there so that this is not so obvious that there is something. We know it's there. You can actually see the little bit standing up. I want to see if I can flatten it with my nail. If it is there in your journal, you would not really see that it can open up. But I've picked a few tags that I previously made, so let's see which one will fit in here. This is quite brown, and we don't want something that is too brown. So I was thinking about this little journal card, just white at the back, that is not completely mushroom themed, but still vintage. It will fit in. It says field label, the side up, a number, specimen, and so forth, but it actually disappears in the pocket, which can be a good thing because it will then not show too much of that. But I don't think it's the best choice, so I will put it that side. Then I have another one, just a little label that was done with the ink smushing that I had, just done stamping on top of it with different colors. I had walnut stain, vintage, photo, and the darker labels, all in vintage, except for that one that was done in, I need to think now, tea dye, but it doesn't look like tea dye. It's very light. I think I need to just refresh my ink pad. Then I also inked the edges. If I place that in there, it's almost too tall for this pocket, but again, it stands out, but it is really not standing out. It doesn't do much. This is a hidden journal spot. I added a tiny little paper clip, Tim Holtz paper clips, Ideology, I think, Ideology. This is just stamped on the front. It was a W fold, folded in half that way, and then folded it over on itself again. Inked there, smushed a little bit of ink at the back, and then added this little paper clip so that when you add it to a page, that you don't have to glue it in. You can add it to a journal. Now I've got a journal tag here. I'll just show you if this was the page. You can just slide it on like that, and there's plenty of journal space in on that side and on this side and that side as well. So that would have been lovely to use, but it is way too long for this card. Those are easy to make. I was thinking this one or maybe this, but I think this is also too long. Lovely tag with the ink smushing and all of that stamping done with the labels from DG and SVG Designs for You. I used 2 of their labels. A bit long, some stamping, background stamping, not the best choice. This one was also one that was done with ink smushing. I folded this part up, glued the sides, and made it a pocket. You can't see in there, but it is also the ink smushing that's in there. So I made a little tag from the butter yellow cardstock, just stamped there. It might work, could work. The yellow stands out. I'm not very fond of that one. Now these little cards were just the same paper as we used for the hidden journal spot on the inside of this card. These are just stamped in tea dye, vintage photo, and walnut stain. The walnut stain is much darker, not as dark as the ground espresso, which is near black, but also quite dark. You can see the orangey tint from the tea dye, but not as orange as the rusty hinge. So there we have these ones, quite nice. I like this one particularly because of the circle shape. So let's see. Now that is much better. It also almost hides the line where we cut that. That's better. I like that one. Or even this tag, which is more rusty looking because of the yellow cardstock that I used and a lot of rusty hinge on there. I like that. I really like that. But I still want this one in there. So there we have it. I think I will put both of them in there. These ones can just go into our box. And when we start decorating, I've got a few things to show you. So for today, we made the hidden journal card, or journal spot rather, with a pocket. You can do it without the pocket, like the specimen I showed you earlier, or the example. So we have that one. Then our beautiful little clusters, the one that I made on camera with you, and then the two that I made off camera. So there they are. And then the cards that I made supposedly on camera, and I apologize again for that. And you can hear the smile in my voice, right? I still shake my head. I can't believe that I had got so confused. Anyway, those were the ones that I made without you seeing the process. So I'll just put them one side, and then there are the two that I made with you tonight. And you could see my process. Thing is, you can decorate it however you wish, and it will still be quite nice and fitting in with our theme. Thanks for joining me today, and again, my apology for the mishap with the recording. A lesson for me, and I hope you will chuckle with me when you go through this and you notice that this is different from what we had been doing, but you will know why, and I will try to add these bits into the video so that I do not lose the content. If you go and try this for yourself and you like what you've done, please tag Wawa Crafting on social media. And if you want to see more content like this, the normal content with the straight recording that is, give me a thumbs up. I'll be appreciating if you are subscribing to my channel too. See you back soon. Goodbye.